Welcome to another episode of the Wisconsin Sports Spotlight. Last episode, we were behind a microphone, and this episode, we are behind the whistle. And we have I'm joined alongside myself, Drew Skyberg, Mike Pfeil, the president of the State Line officials association, and then also a well-respected seasoned official, and then we're talking a master in baseball and basketball, the master level, joined alongside again Mike Pfeil. Mike, how's it going on your Sunday night?
Good. My Bears scored 17 today. We're happy.
Yeah.
Other than that, the time change is kicking my butt a little bit, but we'll get through it.
You gained an hour, Mike. Is there a problem with that?
Yeah. I also took a nap at 6 o'clock tonight, which isn't good.
Oh. Yeah, it's really throwing it off. All right, it's glad to have you on. I was trying to find how many years you've been an official. So I guess going through. I guess it was 34.
35.
35. Okay.
Twice as long as you've been alive.
Roughly, yeah. At 20, so you got that. So yeah, I mean, throughout this episode, right, for the audience, we're talking again, right, 35 years of experience, going from kind of who he is, what he's done, and then going into overall some great stories from Mike for officiating, some of his best games, and then just overall, right, looking at the future. I've covered officiating here on past episodes. I've talked with Ryan Borkhardt on an episode or two, just talking through kind of the shortage WI is going through, and again, just overall focusing on right Wisconsin sports, and that's what we're going to be doing here in this episode, Mike. So to kick us off, why? Or I guess I kind of threw the background. Was there anything I missed?
Well, there's a lot of things about me, but they're not important tonight, I don't think.
All right, no seeds tonight.
What's that?
No talking about seed tonight.
No seed tonight. No farming. No nothing like that.
Yeah, no farming. Okay, cool. All right, kicking us off. Why did you start officiating?
Well, I started in 1989, back at University of Wisconsin-Platteville. I was a student there. One of my high school teachers at Skyberg High School is still officiating, and he always badgered us to become officials after high school. So I took him up on it, and it was actually my third year of college. I needed a job, so we started officiating, and I worked Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, working basketball. And that money went, well, I shouldn't tell. My mother might be listening where that money went to. Sometimes the checks were cashed at the local bar, but it got me through college, and then I kept on doing it after I got out, moved to Madison, worked sub-varsity games for a few years, got established working varsity kind of when I moved to Evansville, and the rest is history.
Yeah, sure sounds like it. I can relate to your story. I started actually officiating some intramural basketball my third year. Only Mondays, Tuesdays though, so I'm not to the degree that you're rolling it out, but definitely I felt it was great. So mine was more from a fan perspective, right? Being a fan of games. Was yours more of were you playing basketball in high school?
Oh yeah. Yep. I was first team all conference my senior year, led the league in scoring. Just because one guy was averaging 25, but he quit his high school team midway through the season, and then I took over the title. If I could reach my back, I'd pat myself on the back for that one. But we didn't ref intramurals in Platteville. That was like the football team's job. But I think one year in our intramural team, out of like the 10 guys, I think 7 guys refereed basketball. Wow. So they couldn't pull the wool over our eyes with the rules.
Were you a post player back in high school?
I was 6'2" center.
6'2". There you go. Yeah, I didn't hear about the first team. See, that would have been a flex at the start. First team all conference senior year, 25 a game.
Yep, heavily recruited. Heavily recruited out of Skyberg. I got one letter from Madison College, and that was it.
Well, there you go. You had an offer. You can always say you had a college offer to play basketball.
I don't know if it was an offer or just, hey, we are looking for players. I'm not sure.
There you go, mighty Scholesburg. We're
Yep.
yeah, based more in Northeast Wisconsin. So that's where I'm from originally. But I was wondering then, right, going from right year 1 to year 35, what's made you stick around for so long, right? How's WIAA and others? How have they not gotten rid of you?
Oh, they've tried. They've tried. No, it's once I got into it, hey, I fell in love with it. You're on the court, you're helping the kids out, you're getting some exercise. I mean, once you work a few big games, when I mean big, I mean full gyms, good action, you're kind of hooked on it. And I totally enjoy it. Um, we've mentioned basketball. I do baseball also. Baseball's a tougher one with the big crowds, and if you know in the springtime, if you get 20 folks at a game, that's really a big crowd. But I mean, we've had some pretty good baseball games over the years. But once you get a taste for it, you just get hooked.
Definitely. I think the exercise aspect is definitely I've noticed the most underrated part. Like you don't really think about it until you're doing it and like, wow, just check my Apple Watch. I see over 1,000 calories. I'm like, holy smokes. So I was also wondering, like, yeah, pivoting off, right? We've been talking basketball. You also, right? I talked about master in baseball as well at the WIA level. I was wondering, do you prefer basketball or baseball?
Yeah. A lot of people ask me that. I'd say it's 50-50. Basketball, there's more competition for game. I mean, there's more basketball officials than baseball. I've uh, actually probably gotten further in baseball than I have in basketball, just because of numbers. Maybe I'm not that good a referee. Some people might think that, but there's more opportunities in baseball. People just don't know that, and a lot of people don't want to be out in the cold in the springtime. The last 2 springs have been the worst in my 35 years, just for the coldness. So I think a lot of
True.
people shy away from it there.
So if you just feel like pros and cons in each, like do one or the
Yeah.
other.
Yep.
Gotcha. I didn't know with like the action thing too, right? I feel like basketball definitely has like right that more action pace involved with it.
Well, in baseball, we fight with the softball umpires because softball is a quicker game and this and that. I prefer baseball. I did softball for 20 years, and I never did a ton of games every year, but I just seemed to like baseball better. And I just decided to cut down on softballs. The rules are a little bit different, so I eased up on the rules. They vary a little bit, so the rule set with baseball you kind of concentrate on. So I've been doing that, and like I said, the door's open if you are willing to work at it and be seen and take a chance. And here I am.
Definitely, that's a good way to roll. And going through like some tips and tricks too, like going off of that, like right. I mean, you get through 35 years, you ref multiple state games. Just how would you say like has it been the consistency or like what would you say has mainly helped you out to get to where you've been today or where you are even?
Um, Surround yourself with good people. Some of the guys that I work with, my friend John here in Evansville, he and I have been working together for 20 plus years. He's been to state multiple times. He's a track guy. He's like the state's top track official. He's in charge of the state tournaments and everything. We work with some other guys that have been to state. We work with some people that are going to go to state eventually. Ryan being one of them.
Oh, mark the words
But
right here.
Yep. If you got like-minded people, it tends to you pick up things from them. You know it's competition. Who can be the best official sometimes, and it makes yourself a better official. And um, we've been to multiple camps. I mean, 15, 20 years ago, that was the big thing. You had to go to a certain camp to be seen by everybody, and that camp is no longer. But there are so many basketball camps in this state, and I've been to ones out of state. And I mean, you just get to work with other people and see how they work. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. Put it into your game, make yourself better.
Yeah, you bringing up the out of state component to our working out our camps. I've always wondered like how out of state, right? How have other states, especially the officiating, right, the basketball landscape. How does that differ from state to state? Have you noticed?
Not much. The camps that most of the guys that I work with, well, pretty much all of them from out of state. I work a little bit Division III and junior college basketball, and we're pretty much all on the same page. There might be a tweak here and there, but I was just at a thing out in Ames, Iowa, about a month ago, and I work with guys I've never worked with before, never heard of before, and we're all on the same page. I mean, it's just like you've known them forever,
Yeah.
and nowadays with technology, you can watch video after video. When I started in 1989, you were on your own. You pretty much had to figure out how to referee from watching games on TV.
Yeah, it's just crazy the landscape. Right? Almost every high school game now, especially basketball, being live streamed. Right, there's just a whole other avenue with that. It's just crazy how we've seen the evolution over time. Going to some of your, right, we talked about from 1989. It's been different landscape over those times. Do you have some really good stories you want to share? Anything that stands out? Right, you mentioned to me you had a lot of stories, so.
Oh, they weren't basketball stories though.
Oh, well, there.
No, we've had. I mean, we've worked in pretty much every gym from the southwest corner to almost the middle of the state. We've been to Milwaukee. I mean, I've worked the Five Serve Center twice and just got invited again over the weekend. We've been to the Bradley Center, I think 3 times. It differs from going to Benton High School to where the Bucks play. Just the atmosphere, just the building, getting around town. I mean, we've been to games where a 25-minute trip to the gym took us 2.5 hours to get home because it snowed 6 inches while we were at the game. We've had, well, it wasn't my game, but some of my friends had an incident a couple of years ago at a school where there was a shooting in the parking lot right behind one of their cars. So they had to stick around for an extra 3 or 4 hours while the police figured things out. We've had, actually, I was at a gym right here in Evansville doing a freshman game when I first moved to Evansville. The school caught on fire. We were trying to play the game and the fire alarms kept going off. And one of the coaches was just like, just keep playing. And pretty soon somebody comes in and they said, no, the school is on fire. The industrial arts building's on fire. We need to leave. So everybody left and it was 10 degrees outside.
Expect the unexpected. Wow.
I was lucky that night. They actually had it controlled so I could actually get my stuff out so I could go home. But I mean, we've been to packed gyms and we've been to places. I mean, COVID year was crazy. And it was just amazing how many you go to different places and how they treated that whole situation where some parts of the state you'd go and it was like business as usual. And you go to another game where they wouldn't even let the bus driver in. It was just crazy. And we got through it. But I mean, we've had conference championship games. We've had tournament games leading up to the state tournament that you couldn't get 2 more people in the building. We were at a game. Who was it? It was at Baraboo High School. It was Lodi and the Dells when they both were good. When Lodi first got good, that would have been 2012, 2010, something like that. And they said they had 275 people on the stage. They said if the fire marshal would have walked in, he probably would have had a heart attack. Couldn't get 2 more people in the building. I went back 2 days later to do the sectional final game, and it was a 41-point blowout, and it had the atmosphere of nothing because it was just a blowout.
Yeah. You get those sometimes, but overall, I mean, like I've mentioned, like it seems like you've seen it all, and again, expect the unexpected. Thankfully, again, those situations ended up resolving and working out, but it's just wild to see, over your time, you could see a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
You definitely you never know how it's going to go, and One game though that definitely probably sticks with you. I heard a little rumor about Sam Decker. Maybe not a rumor per se. Something
Who?
about working Sam Decker. So supposedly, were you working that
Yeah,
game?
yeah.
The
We were very fortunate to draw that game, and Sam Decker. Everybody knows who he is. And the game itself, they played Racine Lutheran. Racine Lutheran was winning that game basically up until the last minute or the last few seconds, and it was to the point. It was funny. So Sam scored, I think, 12 points in a minute 10 with a buzzer beater to win the game, and it was funny. We got in the locker room, and after we got done saying, "Holy crap, what did we just do here?" We all mentioned that we were going to say congratulations, along the sidelines to the Racine coaching staff, which we do, and we're all glad we really didn't because they got beat, and it would have been kind of awkward to do that, and then they'd end up not winning the game. But I was lucky; I was under the basket when he hit the shot, and I've been, like I mentioned, that Lodi the Dells game, that was crazy. The Kohl Center that day, and it was only 3/4 full. It was probably the loudest crowd when Racine was shooting free throws right at the end of the game that I have ever been to. And I said, if this place is 3/4 full now, what happens when like Ohio State's at Wisconsin and it's full and it's nuts? I said, it was crazy loud in there that day. But yep,
yeah.
we were fortunate that day, and I can't say that I made him famous, but one of my partners did.
Whenever I'm on now or Twitter or now X, they always show the anniversary of it when it happens in March. They do that one and Peter Brookshaw Day and being a Valders alum. That's also another buzzer beater they show, and it's like I gotta look for you next time, Mike.
Yeah.
I didn't realize
I'm
you were the guy under the basket there until now.
and
But I'm
I
wondering,
can't say to your crowd because I like to keep it PG what I said when the ball went through the basket, but then I realized I had to run down the floor because there was actually a play going on. You might see me kind of hesitate because I'm like, oh, I gotta go call the rest of the game, which is only like 3 seconds, but it was crazy.
yeah, and you brought up it being 3/4 full. I'm wondering, how we've seen the state tournament now, especially for WIA, like the atmosphere overall year over year. How do you feel attendance being down again? I believe this past spring. Like, how do you feel that shift has been?
Well, it's good for us because we get better seats. I know for a fact that the WIA doesn't like. I shouldn't say doesn't. I don't want to put words in their mouth. When private schools or small school or not small schools, but private schools come, they don't have that big fan base. Because like I've seen like small schools when my high school went to state, when the neighboring schools went to state, there wasn't anybody left in town. They brought all 800 or 1,500 people to the game. Well, some of these private schools, they don't have a fan base where their parents and a lot of the parents don't maybe not live in the state. There's some private schools in the state that have kids from out of state. They just don't have the fan base and they don't bring the people to the state tournament. And I don't know. It'd be nice for them to do something different. Friend of mine coaches Scales Mountain High School, Northern Illinois. They've been to the state tournament in Illinois the last 2 years. They have 65 kids in school. They've got third 2 years ago and they got second place last year. And my old basketball coach went down to that, and he says their state tournament down there blows Wisconsin's away because they actually play a consolation round. So you're guaranteed 2 games. And he goes, you go to the place, it's like a carnival. They got things to do, things to see, interaction between groups and the spectators. And he goes, it's really cool. And I think that possibility here, they'd have to get the Kohl Center probably for another day. And I know that costs money, but maybe make it more of a spectacle, more for, things to do. Instead of coming to watch one game, if your team loses, you go home. Maybe there's something else to do.
Yeah, you definitely bring up a great point, Mike, because that's something I know, right? I've just have heard the buzz about, right? How can we improve this process? And definitely something, right, to look into. If if I'm right or about this, correct me if I'm wrong. Right? Wasn't there used to be a private school division? Did they used to separate them?
Yep, that's
Was
been gone. I
yeah.
think in the 80s, they
Oh,
had the WISA, and they used to play their state tournament games down at the Mecca, right down the road from you guys in Milwaukee. And it was like, I remember watching it on TV. I think it was Edgewood and somebody, and back in the 80s, like, who's Edgewood? Who are these schools? You didn't hear about them. Now with the internet and everything, everybody knows every school in the state. But there's always that big debate about private schools, public schools, should they get bumped? Should they, whatever. That's not my place to say anything. But
definitely.
it's, like I said, when you get those schools, a lot of times they don't bring a ton of people to the arena, and it hurts.
Yeah, for sure. I just yeah, I was gonna ask you to take a stance, and I definitely just certainly something that has been talked about and affecting especially basketball. And on the baseball side, or umpiring state games there, have you noticed like how's the atmosphere there up in Appleton?
That's a great place to play. I mean, it's the flattest piece of earth those kids will ever play a baseball game on, and it's very nice facilities. I just think it's too big. I think the field is too big. There's only like 2 home runs during the week, and when fan bases come up there, they play in the middle of the day, and it's in Appleton, and sometimes it's same thing. There's not a ton of people come. The stadium itself is so spread out that it looks like there's no one there. And I mean, like I said, it's a great place to play. I don't know if there's a different option in the state, but like again,
Yeah.
it's not my place to say. Would AmFam Field be the place to play? Who knows? But there's a lot of places to play. Like I said, it's great for the kids. It's a minor league field and this and that, but
Yeah, definitely. I've always like that's always been an interesting like how you got Madison, you got Milwaukee, you got Wisconsin Rapids, and then you got Appleton, and just kind of interesting dynamic of how that is. Overall, I mean, we're talking about kind of how the outlook has been for the past, but looking ahead in the future, I mean, especially on the officiating side, what is your overall outlook? Again, I mentioned I've had an episode with Ryan on WI, also a WI official, talking through kind of right how there's been a shortage and how young officials like him are needed in the field, and I'm wondering just how you feel about how that's going to be for the future.
well, it's going to be interesting. And I can think of about 6 guys that I work with, or maybe work a game or two with, great friends of, that are going to hang it up in the next, after this year or after next year. And that's a lot of games on the court gone. I mean, they say the numbers are getting better, but the people that come to me in our association, and just some people we talk to, it seems like they just want to kind of stick their toe in it and test it out, and maybe work games on the weekend at the youth tournaments. I mean, back when we started, it was balls to the wall. I'm doing every JV freshman game I can do, you know, and now it seems like some of the varsity officials I know, they only want to work 3 nights a week or whatever. I get it. They're devoted to their families. My wife and kids didn't want me at home, so I worked every game I could. And now I'm paying tuition. I'm paying their tuition. So, but I don't know what the answer is. There always talks about the pay. The pay up north is way better than it is down here. Now down here it's getting better. It's people. I know people that they don't take games and they look for an offer. The schools will offer mileage. They'll offer a varsity pay to do a JV game. If that's the incentive that it takes, then offer that right away. I personally, I don't think a JV official should be making my pay plus mileage to do a JV game when I signed a contract 2 years ago to do the game. If people would take contracts right away and help the assigners out. We just had a meeting the other day. We had the biggest crowd we've ever had in an association meeting. We had 4 conference commissioners in, and of course, pay comes up. And the question was, well, can you guys all get together and match pay up north, or get be on the same page? Some might pay 85, some might pay 87.50, some might pay 80, some might pay 90 plus mileage. They all said it's not up to us. It's up to the administration and the principals of the schools. Take it, take what they're giving you, and help the assigners out when they send out games. Like, I know people that they're open all the time. I don't have any open dates because I took my games when they sent the contracts out. I mean, I know I've assigned not high school games, but I've assigned amateur baseball. I've assigned summer baseball for high schools. I assigned some basketball tournaments. If you come forward right away and sign up for games, you're probably going to get more because you're helping the person out, and it helps them out. They know exactly how many officials they need without getting into a panic closer to the event and not having officials. But I don't know how to get more people in. You see these horror stories on YouTube and the news about crazy parents. I gotta say, around here we're pretty good. I mean, we go to high school games. We just don't see a ton of idiocy out of the stands. And I tell you what, people always say to me, well, how do you deal with the parents? I said, frankly, I turn around and laugh at them. I mean, they're being stupid. They're always saying something that is just out there. It's a fanboy. Oh, my kid's getting the short end of the stick. Well, maybe maybe you're not seeing exactly what we're seeing on the floor. And maybe you don't know the rules like you should. Maybe the rules, like when I played, there's a ton of different rules. It's just different. And my advice to the parents is to go enjoy the game, watch the game. If you have an opinion, keep it to yourself. Cheer for your kid, cheer for your team. Don't be upset with the officials. We're human. We miss stuff. We miss stuff in college games. We miss stuff in high school games. We miss stuff in youth games. Youth games are called different than high school games. They just are. So just enjoy it. But if you got if you're upset with the officiating, call the WIAA, get on their website, sign up to be an official, get into an association like mine. It doesn't have to be mine. It can be anyone in the state. Get some training and get on the floor.
There you go, Mike. That's some great advice. I got one more question for you before we wrap up. For basketball, another basketball one. Quarters or halves?
Halves.
Okay.
Halves.
I thought that'd be easy, but
halves. So the first year they went to halves, about 8-minute mark in the first half, the kids were dragging because they didn't have that timeout. So when the coaches figured that out, said, hey, we either need to sub differently or get a timeout in there, everything was great. They adapted to it. Now, do you know why that they want to go back to quarters?
Is it with NFHS?
Yep.
Okay.
100%. And that was told to us by someone from the big office that they're not in compliance and they don't have a seat at the table when it comes to rules and rules changes or making rules, whatever. But that's what they're pushing for. And I think most of the officials, most of the coaches prefer halves. It's just a better flow to the game. But ultimately, who knows?
Awesome. Well, Mike, again, I appreciate you taking some time here on a Sunday night with some great stories, some great advice, and also some good jokes, Mike. And I didn't realize you had that much in you. I knew you. After meeting you in spring, I knew you had a few good jokes. I didn't know you had them all though.
Well, you should have known it back me a few years ago when I used to drink a little bit. I was a lot sharper back then. I'm getting too old to do that stuff, so I'm getting a little bit slower. There anymore.
All right. Well, Mike, if you have anything else to share here, again, that's a great way here to cap off the Wisconsin Sports Spotlight on this Sunday night.
Yeah. Like I said, if you want to get involved, reach out to the WIAA. If you're in Illinois, whatever state you're in, reach out to them. They will point you in the right direction. There's officials in every town that do every sport. Find them, ask them questions, how to get involved, and don't be a fanboy at a game. Enjoy.
Definitely. Great way to wrap us up. Again, thank you, Mike, for coming on here. That's going to wrap up episode 28 of the Wisconsin Sports Spotlight. Thank you all for listening to yet another episode of Drew's Sports Crew, the perfect podcast for you.